the Princeton High School Brass Quintet. Can you hear me? Is this going all right? Beautiful. Awesome. My name is Jim Baxter. I teach at the high school. You'll meet my colleagues, Jane and Carol, who teach at the middle school. The first thing is the session outcomes. Well, should I stay for this thing or not? Here's what we're hoping to get out of this. Creating independent student musicians. That's the main goal of this whole thing. Letting them do without us. That's our goal. Understanding our 612 process and maybe applying some of that to yours and see, hey, I'm doing that, or I'd like to add that one little part. And finally, observing the process through a student experience. For example, later on, I'm going to have them sight read using the process and working it all together. Before we get rolling into that too much, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Eckroth Music, that moved downstairs. I'm sure you know of Eckroth. At the end of the presentation, near the end, we're going to draw for 3 $20 gift certificates. You don't have to have your school on there. You can use it for whatever you want. It's going to be glorious. If you haven't yet, we're going to pass around a bucket back there. There are some CDs to grab if you'd like. There's also a sheet to fill out with your school and your name. Make sure you get that done before the end there. We'll pass that around here pretty soon. So thank you so much to Eckroth Music. We do all kinds of stuff through them. First of all, Princeton Public Schools. Before we get into this, let me give you a little bit. Those college students in the room, we hope that the people leave this session as college students saying, well, I have a lot to do when I get that first job. And I wonder if this chamber music thing, soul ensemble emphasis is really worth it. And hopefully you leave here going, yes, that's worth my time. Those with experience, we'd love to hear from you. We're not experts in any of this. That's our biggest fear, is getting up here and telling you what you already do, except you do it better. So we'd love some advice on that. If you take one part away from this, that's glorious. If you take the whole thing, that's awesome as well. Princeton Public Schools, about an hour north of here. Beautiful little town. There are 4,500 folks in the city of Princeton and 3,200 in the high school. So any math minors in the room trying to do the math on that, not quite right. We actually pull from a community of about 10,000 people from the different areas around us. And as you see, here's the breakdown. 800 in the middle school, grade 6-8 middle school, 275 in band, and we have 1.5 position. You'll meet the 1.5 later. 45-minute classes, which we're very, very excited to have. And they meet every other day. Every day or every other day based on if we share choir and band students with. There's an awesome thing in Princeton where we can share students. You can be in band and choir and really get the full benefit of that. And so if you're interested in hearing more about how we schedule a 3x5 and it works for the music department, Mr. Mark Popman, the choir colleague sitting in the back there, he'd love to explain that to you and get that information as well. And they do have small group lessons in middle school, which we're also blessed to have. At the high school, we have 1,000 students, grade 9-12. 214 made the right decision and are still in band. Staff is me, and then we have to do it. Just want to mention we have a .2 EA type position we've had for the last 3 years, education assistant type position who does some lessons. But the process we're going to show you today, you don't necessarily need that position, just so you know. 65-minute classes. I know you want that. It's awesome. You should try it for it. We meet every other day with the freshman band, and we have 2 10-12 bands by placement that we do. One of them we see the choir kids every other day, and with our top group, I see every student every day, either for 25 minutes or for 65 minutes. So it's an awesome schedule. Again, Mr. Popman will show you that if you're interested. And we do have a lesson program. So the history in Princeton, just so you know what we're coming from. Going back to the days of show choir and marching band and the thing, we did all that stuff. The Princeton Marching Band marched in Reagan's inaugural parade. The choir sang the first national anthem of the first prep bowl. The past 10 years, we've presented, performed at the Choral Arts Finale 3 times. ACDA Regional, MMEA, the band, and the choir. The choir's been twice. ACDA State, Dorian, Choral, and Dry Wolf were selected for multiple collegiate invitation joint concerts, and we've commissioned new works for band, for choir, and for band and choir. So we've been busy. We've been think the right things. And we have consistent all-state and honor band choir representation. The reason I tell you that is so you know that they're achieving at a level based on the standard of the state, not just we think we're doing a nice job out there. That's our goal. Success of our students, we believe, is our focus on creating independence and challenging them through this small ensemble and solo work we're going to introduce you today. So at Princeton, our motto is helping students develop lifelong musicianship. So to clarify that, it's not creating musicianship for them, it's helping them develop lifelong musicianship. And that's why this part is so well into that. Musical independence through structured decision-making helps us achieve this goal. We found a consistently high rate of individual comprehension, group cohesion, and advanced levels of learning, as well as a confident joy in the process of making music because of this process. So class, we teach what we teach in class, and I treat that kind of like a lecture. And then the lab for band is these chamber projects and solo ensemble time where we can see if they can apply it or not. So that's what we're going to talk about. So how exactly do we do that? We'll walk you through the whole process today. What we do in Princeton is in no way perfect. Don't get me wrong. This is Miller, I think so, but I don't think it is. it's just what we do and it works. So I'd love some advice on this. If you'd like to come up and take part of this, if you take one piece away today, it was a successful day, so we look into that. At District 477, we start with the 6th grade band, and we start right off the bat with the solo and chamber project. So please welcome Carolyn Jane, middle school colleagues, to explain the first 3 years of our process, as they say in Canada. A glorious applause.
All right, thank you. We started solos and ensembles for the very reason that you see on this next slide, is that we have anywhere from 90 to 110 kids in each band. And like any typical band, there's a wide variety of ability levels. Unlike you, though, we do have some kids that don't practice. So, you know, the kids that come to their lesson and struggle through the playing assignment, and you're sitting there and they're done, and then the only thing positive you can think to say to them is, wow, you really have nice posture. So now let's work on other things. Like you, we have kids who enjoy being in band and practice just enough to be successful. And then you have the high flyers who eat up everything you put in front of them. All of these kids need something else to keep them motivated. We found that solos and ensembles are a great way to challenge students of every ability and keep them excited about band. Our solo and ensemble music library is about 14 years in the making. It isn't perfect by any means, but it is kid tested and director approved. Over the last 14 years, we've revised, modified, you know how that goes, accidentally recycled, started over, expanded, and as of last month, re-revised. Our goal is to hopefully save you about 14 years of searching for music and share what we've learned in the process.
In your handout, you have a copy of our time-tested director's picks for your solos and ensembles at each level. It's not our complete library. The link that you see up here and that's also in your handout will get you to our library. Please use it. You can have access to that. We color-coded it. That's simply for us by level of difficulty, so it's a quick grab and go when you've got that group of kids coming in. The sample you see here, for example, for our clarinets or for our flutes, our second-year flutes, rates mellow, flutations. Those are the songs that are the go-to songs. Matter of fact, we have one of our soloists sitting here. She played flutations the other night at our honors recital. So a little background information. All three of our bands have their first concert in November. That's the first big all-together group. Right after that, we start working on our solos. And for our sanity, our beginners have just two choices. One that's in the book or the one that we give them. Otherwise, it's way too many kids and way too many choices. And those students, of course, there's always the exceptions to the rule. There's kids who need one a little bit more difficult, a little easier. Our first-year students usually ask, do we have to do a solo? A little bit of fear going on there. They're afraid of the unknown, and there's always a peak number of forgotten instruments on a solo day. Our second-year students have a few more choices. Their skill level is higher. We can better steer them towards what they want to play and what we know will be a good fit for them. Our second-year students usually say, when do we get to pick our solos? As a matter of fact, our kids come in the fall and ask, when do we get to pick our solos? And of course, fewer forgotten instruments for that.
All right, by the third year, students have even more choices and become more involved in the solo selection process. We look at it as a stepping stone to high school, and it's really fun for us to sit back and watch them choose their solo and start to become independent musicians. Third-year students often say their goal is, I really want to make it into the honors recital this year. So we brought a little video about, here's one of our 8th grade students explaining how he chose his solo. And please note, in any middle school video you see, these are all unedited, purely middle school talk, and band directors and musicians, note to self, I need to review with this gentleman the difference between melody and lyrics. So feel free to chuckle along, here's AJ Gross.
I'm in the Princeton Middle School. I'm an 8th grade and I play the trombone. I was presented with 4 solos today for a solo project in chapters 2. First solo I listened to was Ruby. Starts off kind of slow, which I liked. 4/4 time, so something I know. And then it gradually picks up the pace until you get to the coda. And then you go on for a little bit, and it just stops. The second piece I listened to was Emerald. It starts with 6/8 time, for something I've never played before, so I'll need to practice a lot. And the same thing with Ruby. It starts slowly, ends really fast, and it stops. Out of the two, I did like Emerald more, just because of the lyrics of the trombone part, and the piano sounded good with it, and I think it'll be more of a challenge. I'll be able to improve more. The end of the day, few I go. The lyrics are okay. I didn't really feel like I could play this, but I want to. It's just kind of, it doesn't sound like me. Much Milter, I believe I have heard before. 2/4 time, just same thing with these songs, but with Enzo de Fuego, I did not really like the lyrics of the song. I'm sure people in the audience would have recognized the song if I had picked it, but I still like it a little better.
Alright, that was AJ. After they choose their solos, our students have about 2 weeks to practice it independently. They keep a practice journal while they do that, tracking their progress. And then in the lessons, we give them some feedback, some tips like a half note gets how many beats? And check the key signature, please. We added this step after we had a trumpet player, not any of you guys, before you. We had a trumpet player come in and play his solo, which he was in the key of C, and played the Star Spangled Banner. And he played every B natural, B flat, and he played it probably. So, yeah, check the key signature.
So in a nutshell, solos are the first major independent projects. Students know exactly what they're going to be assessed on because they're used to rubrics, and it's most of the same things we focus on in rehearsals and group lessons. Before they play their solo for us, they complete the student rubric that you'll see. And they complete the top part, the student solo rubric, and then grade themselves before we do.
Notice the all-important category of preparation. We added this after we discovered that students, by the way, this is in your handout, folks. We discovered that our students' ideas of practicing a lot ranged anywhere from almost every day to, I think I played about 10 minutes last night. So that preparation category is really important. It helps us to better evaluate the performance, and usually they are harder on themselves than we are. A couple of things that you've all probably used rubrics before. This one for us works the best, gives us a good picture of their work. One of the things, the 3 categories that we focus on mostly, as you can see in your handout, is the 98% on note accuracy. That figure also applies to the rhythmic accuracy and the articulation. So those are the 3 big ones that we look for. The playing and posture, that one we always look for. We practice that in band all the time. That was pretty easy to get that 4 in. The other ones, not so much to get the 4. So we really focus on the 3.
As you can see in your packets, the only difference between the student and the teacher rubric is the kid-friendly language, and that being on the kids' part. The preparation versus comments. We added the comments section because we wanted to give, we wanted a place to give the students some positive feedback. No matter how they play or what they play, it's always, you always want to make something, some nice positive comments for them. The kids who consistently score 3s or 4s on the rubric perform at the honors recital, which was just this week. It's a separate performance than our regular concerts. They get extra help sessions with Jane on the piano and work with things like phrasing and dynamics and fine-tuning of the piece The week before their recital, they played for their peers in band as a sort of dress rehearsal, and that was their scariest audience, is playing in front of their peers. So here is a kid's perspective of the honors recital. Both of these sixth graders actually played last night as seventh graders, but we videotaped this last spring. And so here you have a kid's perspective of what the honors recital is all about.
Hi, my name is Ethan. My name is Ian. And we both play trombone in the 6th grade band. And it's our first year in band, and it's been a great experience, but we're going to tell you a little bit about our honors recital. I got chosen for this about a month and a half ago to be in the honors recital, and it was my first time. So I took my music home, and I practiced really hard, and then I became really good at it, and I improved every day. And then we tried out at the end, and we said we were good. We went to the honors recital, and we played really good. When I first stepped up on stage, it was really nerve-wracking, but I just took a few deep breaths, stepped out on the stage, and rocked my song.
So my story is I was selected the same as Ethan was, about a month and a half ago to play a solo. And the honors recital is you have to play a solo with one of the band teachers playing piano, accompanying you with the rest of them. Yeah, but anyways, so I played my piece, I kept practicing, and when the night finally came, all the solos were nervous, but once you really got on stage and started playing, you knew you were going to do fine, and I played my piece well, and it was a great experience for us in our first year.
So this is our first year. Me and Aiden are both looking forward to another year of band next year, and we think you guys should try out band too.
All right. Yeah, those were sixth graders, and now their seventh graders are an inch taller. That's about the only difference. I'd like to invite up Ryan Johnson to play his solo for you. He wanted to be challenged with a very difficult solo, and he has put a lot of time into it. Talk about independent musicians. He's put a ton of time in this. Ryan is an amazing young man. Come on up, Ryan. He plays in the concert band, the jazz band, and brass ensemble. He's also an honor roll student, swims on the varsity swim team, and we are just really proud to have Ryan up here and share his music with you.
The next class project for every student is to participate in a section ensemble. Every year we do this, the response from our students is, this piece is just for us. Wow, I can finally hear myself. This is where we can see our kids who maybe struggle in the band setting really shine and even take some leadership in the small ensemble. We choose an ensemble that's appropriate for each skill level by their grade, and that's also in your handout. You have a picture of that in your handout with the link to our entire library. These ensemble groups are completely teacher-directed, slowly working towards independent groups. We have a pretty good understanding of how the high school approaches ensemble chamber music, which you heard a little bit of earlier. And so we experimented with giving a trio, a saxophone trio, to 3 7th grade boys. No direction, we just said, figure it out. Once again, this video clip is very middle school and very unedited.
So, first, what's the keys here? Yeah, and they're sharp right now, so that's normal. And that's all everything that's normal. You know, it's 2/4. Yep, 2/4. Oh, okay. Okay, and then let's pick our parts.
Yep, so they're set. All they need to know is Allegretto. All right, so by this time you're probably wondering, hey, wait a minute, I thought there'd be tequila here. Well, if you look at the special ensembles list under trombone, you'll find it. That's all you get. Although some pieces we have in our library are not great literature, they are great fun for kids. Kind of like in your band rehearsals when you have that piece that every kid loves to play, like Smoke on the Water, Louie Louie, you get it. Kids who have fun and feel successful in the middle school band are much more likely to continue on in high school, and that's our goal. At the first year level, the ensembles are pretty much 100% teacher-directed. The second year we start moving towards 80%, giving them more independence and having them work as a group in a practice room. By the third year, we try to be even more student and less teacher-directed. Here's an example of a piece written by some of my 8th grade percussion section. These kids really took ownership of their ensemble. In the process, they learned some important life skills like cooperation, discipline, and teamwork. Each student had their own idea about how it should go, and it wasn't always smooth sailing. Everybody had to work together, and they were pretty pleased with the outcome. So here's our 8th grade percussion composition that they wrote by themselves. And just as a side note, the high school, I believe, does have a chair ensemble as well. We do own percussion equipment.
Chairs are expensive.
Thanks to Wayner. What else can you do with solos and ensembles? School performances. Have your kids played for the office staff? Early childhood classes like the one you see here. This mixed ensemble worked for this group because they had the confidence to create their own ensemble from the small group work that we had. And I think some of our high schoolers are in that picture right there, because this is from a couple of years ago. Great recruiting, get them while they're young, or get them when they're a little older. Many of our students have the opportunity to play at the Elam home or at the assisted living home. This is a wonderful opportunity for our students to give back to the community. It's more than marching band giving back to the community. It's our kids getting out and playing for all of those types of situations. All right, Carol.
All right, and finally, we're talking all about independence. Here's a group of fantastic 7th and 8th graders who have worked really hard on their own and as an ensemble to prepare this piece for you today. It's been fun to watch them throughout the whole process, including the all-important, well, what should we wear at the middle school level? That's all it's about. So come on up, ladies.
So that's how I get to work with the folks come up to me to 9th grade with all that experience. It's awesome, and then I get to take that and just keep going through it. So, you know, most of the work is done. Thank you, ladies, very much for that. Here we have, I'm going to play a little bit more. The high school with this brass quintet here, they're from our symphonic ensemble. Juniors and seniors are going to play a little bit earlier. Each of the students up here started in 6th grade with this process. Now they're to their senior or junior year, and you kind of see where they're at. So the following, they're going to do a couple excerpts. They chose a couple excerpts because we didn't want to do the whole thing, fine and not music. They picked this because it was very well known, so it's kind of like the national anthem. I tell them, you can't mess it up because everybody knows it. So they chose this because they said, when Logan was at a high level or not, because everyone knows it. I thought, oh, that's good. Thank you for being smarter than I am. So here's the brass quintet. I'm going to do a couple excerpts, right? 2 excerpts from Fine Planning Methods. presentation. All of you right now, about 6 things you want to come up here and work on, right? And that's fun. So you're going to be a little antsy in your seat here. But I'm just going to have the students quickly, I'll just pass it right now, starting with Sam, talk about, they got the music, and then what did you do?
Alright, so basically what we did when we got the music is we went to the bachelor's office and looked it up on the computer, listened through it, got the technique down and stuff. And then we broke up individually in practice rooms and just worked our way up the wall.
I'll explain the wall in a second. That doesn't make sense.
So after we worked on it individually, we came together and we played through it the first time, and it was not good. So then we decided to slow down the tempo a bit and pick out specific spots.
We slowed down the tempo and started working up to our concert tempo. And after we had our tempo down, we started working on style and articulation.
So like talking about style, we wanted to focus on building, and we wanted to start with the string articulation. And then we also looked at frequency.
So the articulation was something we had trouble with all the time, so we continued to try to find the articulation. We also balanced the main lines of the song, and we improved our own notes.
The concept there, I just said, so you worked at this piece, good, you're going to perform it, I heard it, yeah, you can perform it. Now, what exactly did you do? I said, what do you want us to tell? Just tell us what you did. And so, I didn't know you went online and listened to it, that's good. That's a great use of resources that I've had in high school. But to go from independent musicians, like you saw that 7th grade video where they just kind of sat there and they said, well, the F is sharp on an alto, so I'm good. To they just explained to you how I would probably run a rehearsal. How would you do that? They refer to the wall. This brick wall here, which I'll explain in a second. Like I tell my students, what you're going to get here from me is not exactly rocket surgery. This is just what we have on the wall in the band room when I teach as the lecture type of course. So they're literally a piece of paper on bricks. Again, not real high-level stuff. But the bottom brick, when freshmen come in, it's tone. Are you making the best sound you possibly can in your instrument? It doesn't matter beyond that. You have to be able to do that. Next, work on rhythms and notes, or rhythms and or notes, either way. And once you're set with that, move up to articulation, dynamics. You see the idea, moving up to blend and balance. Freshmen are expected to be able to take care of the first 3 levels, tone, rhythm, notes, articulation, dynamics, without my help. I can help them in class, but then they should be able to do that without me. Then when they come to rehearsal, you can start with balance and blend. It's a pretty cool place to be in. Then we move up to tempo. Why is tempo so high? Because you should practice it slow. It's that simple. Maybe they're already there. And then, of course, at that level is phrasing, because until you get to tempo, sometimes phrasing doesn't make sense. Intonation, many of you will think, well, that should have been lower, and maybe when you hear my groups, you'll think that as well, but that's where it is, okay? Ornaments with the top, because I tell them, well, if you can't play with the grace notes, then don't play the grace notes. It's pretty straightforward to add them in later. And then at the very top, good, I've perfected everything. I can do everything on the page musically asked of me. Good, are you making the best sound you possibly can? You revisit that tone. Now, this wall doesn't need to necessarily be in that order. That's how it works. So we motivate our students, we inspire them, we set goals, but the most motivated students still need a structure. All that this is one of an infinite level of structures you give students. And as long as you address the same thing, then you can say to them, what brick are you on? They know what you're talking about. So that's really where that comes in. When they go from the classroom to the chamber rehearsal space, that's just what I ask them. Just climb the wall. Just start somewhere on the wall. That's all they have to do. Now, you think to yourself, there are areas of musical understanding, artistry that aren't on this wall. Yeah, that's true. It's not perfect. But it will get them to the point where this ensemble at this point comes into my office for their first lesson with me after I gave them the piece. This would be nice, yes? Oh, I can work with this. It's not, okay, that's enough sharp, for example. Very nice. So, getting anything done without you leads them towards musical independence. And that's the goal of the wall. So now I'm going to do something that I've been questioning for the last year. I'm going to give this group right here a sight read in a room full of professional musicians, and they're going to perform for you in 2 minutes. Boy, this seemed like a good idea at the time. So here is the only instructions. Here's the sight read. On your part, mess it up. This little piece called The Thunder. I'm thinking that I'm not going to be able to learn this from knowing it on your Pandora playlist, but you will know it, I hope. Now, here are the 2 rules. There's no playing. And for right now, and just do the wall study. Now they have a blank version of the wall right there. They have a filled out one and then a blank one, and they can use that and say, boy, look at this piece, we really need to get some rhythms before we can worry about anything. That should be at the bottom. Or, this is a pretty easy piece of music. I bet we can start adding some shape, some phrasing to this thing right away. And they just have to decide that as a group. And the secondary thing is you will lead this. Don't wait for someone else. Pretend I'm going to hand you the mic. You do it random. And you're just going to start rehearsing it. Now give them a certain amount of time at that point. So, let's set a timer here. Go ahead and start looking at it, guys. All right, so that's going. Now, while they're doing it, here's a simple rubric. We all know how rubrics work. I thought, okay, how's this going to work? We started focusing on rubrics a lot. It's pretty simple. The left side, there are 8 columns in the solo ensemble judging category. Minnesota State High School League sees as important. I turned those into 7. I just combined articulation and dynamics. And this is a straightforward 4-3-2-1 rubric, which our school district is very excited about. So that's kind of how it works, and that's even flexible. When I give this rubric to students, they're way harder on themselves than I am, and so I highly suggest you let them grade themselves, just like maybe letting them rehearse themselves, right? That's just a look at the rubric. Remember, there is some freedom within this. And while we're waiting here, just so you know, the time of assessments and proving your work, tracking progress, if you will, there are a few other assignments that I've done in the past, and I'll admit they're not very consistent in this process just because it takes class time and that, but they include a progressive writing assignment project. The first one, you create a story based on you use proper use of musical terms, but with freshmen, it's usually ends up there's a dragon, there's fire, there's an explosion or something, right? No matter what you give them, there's an explosion. That's great, as long as you use musical terms, right? It wasn't this roaring dragon, it was a something, it was a trombone. Second being a structure map. When you're teaching form and have them actually write out a structure map, they can draw it out. As long as they have the concept, it's an assignment they can turn in kind of thing. The other thing you're looking for. And then finally a roadmap, we call working on balance, blend, and dynamics, and explaining their role in that. And a lot of folks like to use color for that and explain it that way. Say, because if you use the drawing, they work under the grass on top of the mountain, they get pretty elaborate with that. And that's great because everybody learns in a different way. So we do those writing assignments if you're interested in that. The sample rubrics up there. 10 seconds. So when we're set with this, the timer's about to go off here. I'm going to hand this to someone, and your goal is that you're going to play through it. Awesome. And if you have to stop, you have to stop. It is what it is. We've done sight reading before. Whatever you need to talk to each other about before you play, you're going to say right now just that, and you're going to play it. Cool? Who wants to go first? You just go. Speak louder, then Mike. Talk louder. Sing the meeting then. So if kids just identify that, hey, I noticed I have the downbeat, you have the offbeat, and then they just ask a question, both drums have the melody somewhere, right? Yeah, keep going. Awesome, they're going to play the first 52 measures of this. Alright, the second page. Preparation is key, I think I've heard that before. Just up to 53. Now what do you have to talk about? If you're ready to play, play. What's the melody of 37? You might have the melody of 37. Ready to go? Definitely very good. Okay, well that went as I expected. Nice job, guys. Okay, now, please prove us all right here. Make it better. Raise your hand and tell me what you're going to do. This is the toughest part for me, right? We're all ready to just jump in. We know exactly what to do. Okay, raise your hand. What do you got? Make it better.
The first five were pretty rough. They go together.
Perfect, right? Anything else? What, did it work? What would you do now? Awesome. So, the process is going. They decided he's going to drop an octave. They're going to do what? Teach time. What would you just say before that? Individual practice time. Imagine that. So that we can't solve today. What else are we going to do today? So keep going to where you're going to start. Where are you going to start? You're at the middle down there. Good. Very quickly, tell me the next step you do and how.
I would probably do two longer notes,
Two no longer notes.
and probably just keep working on the beginning five
For what?
for
Intonation from the beginning. Awesome. I like that. What would you do? Play out the melody. So balance the melody 21. What would you do?
Go after dynamics,
What about style? Go after style.
playing more in march style, so it's really more for the articulation side of it.
What's articulation to lead toward style? I like that. Anything left that you did, Jenna? Run out of ideas.
I mean, I would definitely say graphic manipulation and also work on the
Why do you have to slur the right dynamic?
I would say dynamics, not dynamics.
He's going to have those drills. My point of this is whether that was the right answer or not, they did that without us, right? The goal is to get your students, if they can do that, all of that, any of that, without you, when they come to you, you get to do like the cool working job, right? That's the whole point of this process. So, that was the pressure of my entire year. So thanks guys, nice job on the Saturday. Round of applause for these folks. Awesome, so I'm going to move, we're a little long time here, but I wanted you to be able to see that this is what the process leads to. The 4-year process for us, just quickly, what we're doing in class to get them to this point. Freshmen come in, we use a piece called lip benders. It's a Ray Kramer arrangement. Short etudes, it's got a bite to the beat, but what it does is it gives everybody in the ensemble, tubas to flutes, the 16th note runs. It gives them all that, so it gives them 2D playing. It seems easy to them, but it's about that detail-oriented work with them at that level. And then a piece called global warm-up, which kind of combines so the tubas are playing a tuba part and that kind of thing. Or suggest any kind of marching band warm-up, because the students just like putting air through the instrument, and that's one of the issues as a freshman, is just to play. We also use, with that group, the 3-band test group. What that is I take a group and just split them up into 3 evenly based groups, and yes, the tuba players have the honor of being in 2 ensembles, but that's okay. That breaks it down into a couple things. One, it gets into a chamber group of sorts, and you can do playing tests like that out of rep. It also, they get a grade based on their group. So they start to get in the idea in our high school that this is about the ensemble, not just my grade. Well, I'm passing it, he's not, that's his problem. And so it kind of gets them in that mindset as well. And then solo ensemble contest is highly recommended. When we've had freshmen goes 30% max and gone, 70% perform in class, just like middle school. That's how that works. For the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, we used Bakken before. If you don't know that book, you're behind the times. I think it's wonderful, in my suggestion. A wonderful chorale book, and it covers a wide variety of ability level. Students pick their quartet. I select the number based on their grade and ability level, and then there's a performance day in class. It takes 1, maybe 2 days of your class time, while the rest of the students use the rubric to critique it, and I've discovered the more that they critique each other, the better they are critiquing themselves, and leading to this kind of setup where they can rehearse themselves as well. I use this book called Symbolic Man Technique. It's old school, but it gets the fingers moving, it gets the different things. So I have a chorale book and a technique book. It gets us there. And we have about 80% that are able to perform a solo ensemble, sometimes higher. And basically what that is, there's the standard. Again, the solo, they have that, they work it up to the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. By the time you're 12th grade, you have to do a solo ensemble. You do this in 10th grade, great, that requirement's done. And how do I decide what 20% don't go? It's basically, if I were given a judge based on the standard, not on what we do at Princeton, we're in a smaller school, this is good enough, it's off the standard. If I think they get an excellent rating, they have the opportunity to go solo ensemble. And then even score above that. But if you can't get an excellent rating from me, then what they do is they perform, and that's based on the Minnesota State High School League. They want quality in the solo ensemble. That's in violence. The performance in class is for people who can't make it, which is very many, or those folks that didn't get it quite to the standard. My grading is much more difficult. Most of them get a B or C instead of the A for doing solo ensemble. One more video for you here. We're going to get to. So this is, I don't know why we play chairs all the time, but this is the 2 ensembles. Percussion, I'll talk about in a second. Here's a little video of Daniel Buckvich's piece, Seed Beat. This is mostly 10th graders, maybe all 10th graders, in our 10, 11, 12 band by now audition. And this is they've rehearsed this 2 or 3 times at this point before I worked with them, so enjoy. And then following that is our top group. saxophones are going to come up and get set up. We're going to skip a few things here, but they're in the presentation. There's a handout in the back, a little sheet of paper that looks like this that has the link on it. It's also in your handout. You get all of this information. An example of the library here for clarinets. I have a few things in there to go-to pieces. If you're going to buy 4 pieces for clarinet, those are the ones. Clarinet, Mozart, Hallelujah, that everybody. Andante Rondo by Fox gets you to 6/8. Pepperino, you come to Princeton High School, you check the practice room, there's going to be some Pepperino coming through the halls. It's just how it works. And then Adagio Tarantella, the Tarantella for that. These are pieces that you buy right now. You don't like them, I'll buy them from you. And these work at the high school level, and that's kind of how we use those. And we have those for each group. And then, of course, unlike middle school, we're not color-coded in scarves or solo ensemble selection. So, but they look great. It's awesome. So it's a little bit wider variety of ability levels in high school. We still have that breakdown. The percussionists work their way, they all get graded on balance. They work their way through what I like to call the Mitchell-Peters library. If you don't know it, check it out. With 25% of our high school students getting full amount performance by the time they graduate, which is exciting since I'm not sure how whole amount. So this group right here is a good example. They started just like you saw. You saw the process with the brass quintet here in the side grade. This group has done that process, come and do a few lessons with me, and got to the performance level. So while these saxophones are performing a piece called Sailor's Hornpipe, I'm going to go back and draw a few names. When they're done, Jane's going to pull those names out. If you haven't filled it out yet, Jane's coming around with some empty slips to fill it out. You got 3 minutes and 22 seconds to do that. While you enjoy a final performance, the end result of this with this group of juniors and seniors. Enjoy.
It'll take 1 minute to run off.
And the wonderful teachers, on behalf of the MMEA board, I'd like to present these certificates of exceptional demonstration to Jim Baxter, Carol Paloffer, and Jean Miller. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much for coming today. Please stick around if you have any questions or comments for us. We'll be here all weekend. To stop by, we need to kind of vacate the room when we're done. But the winners of the prizes come up and get you a $20 gift certificate. Brian Johnson from Bram, I think it's pronounced Braham. Come on down. Marie Pop from Holdingford. Yeah? Oh. Yeah! I'm excited. She's excited, I can tell. And Julie Moore, I think is the name. All right. Those folks are done. Come on down. Thank you so much for coming up. If you want to hear the national anthem done in the right key, please grab a free CD back there by the 34th Infantry Division Rebel Band, the finest army band in the land. Please feel free to grab two, share with your friends. Thank you so much for being here today, and enjoy the rest of MMEA.